What's up, nerds? We're back with the True Nerds Gaming Podcast, episode number 38, and AMD has launched FSR 3.
So currently it's in two mediocre at best games, Forspoken and Immortals of Avium. Is that how you
Yes,
pronounce it? Something like that.
that is correct.
So
Yep.
so what exactly is it? Let's explain it.
So it is FSR 3 is kind of like their culmination of all their technologies to compete with NVIDIA's DLSS 3.0, which adds upscaling and then frame generation on top of that. So they'll they'll create a kind of fake frame in between the two real frames that you created to double your FPS basically, or get really close to doubling your FPS. Um, it's a pretty cool technology, especially with like some of the single player games that you're only used to hitting like 60 FPS. You can now hit 120, which is awesome. Some of the downsides to it is both NVIDIA's DLSS 3.0 and FSR 3.0, they introduce an increased amount of latency, or it's the same latency as what your real frames are getting. So you're getting like the latency of a 60 FPS game, but you're seeing it at 120 FPS. Um, and so depending on the game, it may affect how much you enjoy it or how much you like it, or you'd be like, no, I don't, this feels weird. I don't like it. Again, people say it kind of feels floaty. Um, and so to combat that, NVIDIA has what's low late. Low, is it just NVIDIA low latency or
Yeah, I think so.
yeah, they're like low latency technology, and then AMD has either anti-lag or their own version of low latency technology to kind of boost system responsiveness to try and bring that number closer. Um, and what's cool about FSR 3, it's open to all GPUs pretty much in the game. Any GPU can try it out, so you can see if you like it or if it boosts your frame rate and make something kind of either unplayable, playable, or something that was like okay, really smooth now. Um, and then I believe it's only AMD's latest 7000 series are getting this anti-lag plus technology that's supposed to reduce system latency even more. And then FSR 3 should feel not so floaty.
I think the biggest excitement for me is a couple podcasts ago we talked about, is our next GPU going to be an AMD one? And NVIDIA has always sold their GPUs based on the bells and whistles of it, not necessarily the hardware of it, but their programs, their software.
Hmm.
Well, AMD just shot right back and said, "Hey guys, we're here to party," and I think that's what I'm excited about because that's always a deciding factor. It's like, okay, do I spend a little less, get an AMD, have very similar performance, but miss
Or
out
even
on
more raw horsepower, but less upscaling technology.
right? So yeah, it's less workload on your hardware. Because it is nice to I love DLSS,
Hmm.
because some games it gets a little weird, but for the most part, it's nice to see your computer running at a very very strong load, but you're rocking good frames, you're rocking good visuals, but your hardware is not even tested. So to see
Hmm.
AMD have that opportunity or the option is really exciting for me because it essentially takes that argument out. Now, obviously, you're gonna have people saying, "Oh, DLSS is better," and blah 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 blah. You're always gonna have that no matter what. I don't care who you are,
Hmm.
but overall, for the normal consumer, this is awesome because
For sure.
it puts them on the same playing field,
Hmm.
and it's not a deciding factor for me, at least. Now,
Yeah.
granted, it's only in 2 games so far, so
Hmm.
we'll see, have they talked on what's their future on, like, games they're trying to push it out on, or, like, is this a priority for them, or
Yeah, this is their big thing. So I think they're trying to work on as many as possible. I believe they picked these two games because A, they're graphically intensive, and then
Mhm.
B, I believe they're both made in Unreal Engine 5.
Mhm.
And there's not too many games that are Unreal Engine 5 out. So it might have been easier to bring it to both of them. And then it might be, if they can get these working, all future games, it could be really easy. So I wonder if that's why these two were kind of the priority versus trying to like backwards port it to DX11 or Unreal Engine 4 or anything like that, because a lot of older games that have already been out are usually unlikely to try and adopt these new technologies.
It'd be
It's
a lot
usually
of workload for little
yeah, and
return.
like they've already yeah, correct. They've already sold. They've already done all the sales. They've like made them all, so the people aren't going to go out and buy the game just because they add FSR 3, most likely, or they're not going to see as much increased sales as they would have to like put in work into it.
Right.
So that's where it's usually the games that are coming out or have just launched that are going to get like these kind of updates. And so I think that's why they chose these two games because they're most recent and because they're Unreal Engine 5. They're also pretty demanding games, and so that makes a pretty good like test case for them. What's really cool is actually just before this podcast, I found out that Forspoken has a demo and it has FSR 3.0, so you can go test it right now.
That's
And
actually really sick to see capabilities of their
mhm,
software.
yeah,
That's
for sure. And any GPU can run it. So your 3070 can run it, my
mhm,
3080 can run it. It runs a little bit better if you're on AMD's 7000 or 6000,
right.
but any of those you can go in, download it, test it, see if it works, see if it's like worth like investing into. Or even if you were like interested in NVIDIA's 4000 series and you're like, I just don't know if I'm gonna like these fake frames. I don't know if I can get used to like the floatiness of this game. Here's a great way to test it out for free right now. And then you can be like, okay, yeah, I want to go get like a 4070 or 4080 or something like that, and be able to take advantage of this in like a lot more games or a little bit more naturally.
Yeah, I think when I use DLSS, I use it to slightly buffer my game up. I don't use it. I'm not looking for doubling my frames or anything like
Hmm.
that. Usually I'm rocking it just for a little bit, not performance, but for the visual aspect of it because I have a decent graphics card, but if I want to run everything in ultra, it is nice to have that little handicap to
A
help
little
me
bit of
out there.
extra boost. Yep.
So that's how I use it, and I would see myself using FSR 3 in that manner. I'm excited to see how fast this push out's going to be for future games because
Yeah.
Unreal 5 is new-ish, right? Not a lot of games are built on it, but the future going forward, Unreal is a lot easier to work with than most all other development engines. So I'm excited, man. I was actually talking to Heather about it today. I'm like, in the next year or so, I'm planning on probably getting an AMD card. This gets me excited because I don't have to, even right now, currently I can't run DLSS 3 point, was it 3.5? The
Yeah.
3.5?
3.5.
Yeah,
Yeah.
3, I
Or
can't
I
even
guess
run.
like 3.0 kind of in general.
Yeah, so you
Well,
can't run it.
okay. So you can do 3.0, but you can't do frame generation, which is what the real advantage of 3.0 is.
Right. That's what the main selling point is.
Yeah. Yep.
So, now that whole thought process is kind of out of the purchase decision.
Mhm.
So, obviously we got to see how it fares over time and whatnot, and if they're, I'm
Yeah.
sure a lot of people are going to be doing side by sides and this and that. But again,
Oh, yeah.
the normal consumer, you're probably not going to see a huge difference. Now, the nerds, they're going to see the big difference. So I'll be curious to see if Nvidia
For
blows
sure.
AMD out of the water, or vice versa. It's always fun when the underdog whoops some ass. I get excited
Yeah,
about
right?
that.
So,
So
actually I've watched, one person's done some side by sides on it, um, and there's a couple different things that are kinda going on here. So, there's FSR 3.0, which is what these 2 games have in them, and then there's a driver level frame generation. You can just toggle it on, and it'll do any game, but you have to be on an AMD card for that, because obviously you can't have an AMD driver and a NVIDIA graphics
mhm.
card. Um, but that does things like a little bit differently and isn't quite as like smooth or built in. So the games that have FSR 3.0 are like it's built into the engine, it's built into the game. The game like developers have tweaked it and done stuff to make sure it looks good and runs good in the game. Whereas you at driver level, it's kind of like, hey, you're Wild West. It may work really good in this game, or it may like have some artifacts. And
Buyer
so
beware, kind of.
yeah. Initially, some of the driver level stuff is interesting. It's kind of fun to turn on, but I don't know. It's really not like um, as smooth as FSR 3.0 when it's built into the game. So when I saw side by sides of DLSS 3.0 and FSR 3.0, the frame generation portion of it seems identical.
That's
You can't
exciting.
even
That's
tell the difference.
exciting.
The only difference that you can tell is in the FSR upscaling versus DLSS upscaling. DLSS upscaling is a little bit better than the FSR is, but the frame generation portion, the portion where it's making those new frames,
Mhm.
looked identical to NVIDIA's. Now, they did say that you can't have the one like downside is you can't have any FreeSync or G-Sync on while FSR 3.0 is on, which is weird because the monitor, for, at least right now, the monitor is having troubles like in determining what is like a frame that's getting sent to it, right? So FreeSync adjusts the monitor's refresh rate to the FPS,
Yeah.
correct? And so it's having issues adjusting its frame rate with these fake frames, and the frame
Mhm.
times are kind of different. And so what they want you to do is turn off FreeSync and G-Sync, turn on V-Sync, and then you're going to try and use FSR or any of the scaling stuff to get to your monitor's refresh rate with frame generation. So once you get to your monitor's refresh rate with frame generation and VSync, it's like this locked perfect. The frames are paced properly, and you're getting this high refresh rate experience throughout the whole thing. And I
It's
think,
Go ahead, sir.
like the advantage that NVIDIA has is I believe DLSS 3.0 can still work with G-Sync, and so you don't have to have VSync turn on, which VSync inherently turns on some input latency.
Right. It's really exciting to know that a monitor's having issues acknowledging what is a real frame and what's a fake frame. Like that's kind of freaking cool if you think about it. You know what I mean? It's like that's
Mhm.
you're
Yeah.
having I can't tell the difference. That's a good sign. You know what I mean?
Yep,
So
exactly.
that's exciting, man. Yeah, I'm really excited about it. I'm curious
I
to
am
see
too.
again slow rollout, see how it goes. It's on two mediocre games. One game is
But we
bad.
got the demo. That's a huge win.
Yeah, that is.
Anybody can go and try it out without putting any money down. It's
Yeah.
awesome. It'll be interesting to see if Forspoken either get some sales from this, because of people putting in the demos, or if they
Hmm.
cancel a demo because they're just like everyone's just
Everyone's playing
downloading
this
it
damn thing. That's
just to see if
hilarious.
FSR 3.0 is any good.
Yeah. That'll be really interesting. So yeah, exciting news. Exciting, exciting. Trying to think if
Heck
there's
yeah.
anything else I want to talk on it. I really got nothing else on it. Do you got anything else
Yeah,
to
I
add?
mean, literally just finished downloading right before we went live with this, and so I wanted to test it out and see kind of it is, and so I will be doing that after this.
Hmm.
Um, but it's really exciting. Everybody, go download Forspoken, the demo on Steam, and test this out, and let's see what the comments are. See if you like it. See if you hate it. Let us know if you're on an NVIDIA graphics card or AMD graphics card, and your experience with it. Pretty pumped.
Yeah, now I have to. I'm gonna download. I never thought I'd be saying that, but I'm gonna download Forspoken. I didn't like that game from launch. Like all the previews, it just didn't jive with me. And then when it came out and just didn't do well, I'm like, good. I hate to say it. Normally, I'm never like that, but I'm just like, there's something about it I didn't like. But
Yeah, I feel bad for Immortals of Avium because I actually heard that was like a decent game.
the
It
funny
was like
thing,
it was like mid or like it was like okay, it's not bad, not great, but it just launched in the worst
yep,
window possible.
I was gonna
Like
say
no one's
that.
buying that game with this, and so it sucks because I think the studio got closed. They shut down the studio because of poor sales.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah,
Um,
which
y-
sucks.
yeah, the game is just it's like a Xbox. I would say like an early Xbox One, late Xbox 360, like, but with beautiful graphics, just mediocre story, like,
Mhm.
kind of like, what's the word I'm thinking of? Like a stylish, I don't know, like the main character, he's just like always has the cool guidelines. Like it's
Yeah.
just like one of those. It's one of those games. It's not a bad game. The combat's really good, I guess, but just yeah, like you said, it launched in a time where you can't play a okay game. You're just
Mm-hmm.
no one's gonna waste their time on it. So I know
Yeah,
some
it's
people
just
really
like game
liked
of the
it.
year contender release after game of the
Yeah,
year contender release, and it's like, yeah, what did you expect? Like it has
right.
the it's got the what's the other game we were going to talk about today? Um, wait, this one didn't get a sequel. Titanfall 2.
Mhm.
It's got the Titanfall 2 syndrome.
Yeah,
Like they launched it in like the worst like time possible, right in between Call of Duty and everything else, and yeah, like there's no way that it's gonna like do well. And they relaunched this one, and I mean, obviously different styles of games, but they launched it in between Baldur's Gate, Starfield, and
shit. Even
uh,
people are still playing like Zelda. You know.
yeah, exactly.
So
It's too
well,
much.
moving on. You said it. We'll talk Titanfall 2 servers. Dude,
Back online.
I played that game solo because no one wanted to play with me. I don't know why. Um, I will go on record and say Titanfall 2 has the best FPS campaign ever created.
That's literally all I've heard from like all tons of people.
And
People
it's
who aren't even
short.
like big FPS people. They're like, this campaign is so good. Like, and it's tough to like make a gripping FPS campaign. I feel like
Mhm.
that's why Bungie kind of wanted to get up, you know, distance themselves from Halo, and Destiny hasn't really had much of a campaign for any of their expansions at all, except for maybe Witch Queen expansion. Um, and so it's really tough to do an FPS campaign that draws you in with a gripping story, um, or just like fun gameplay or stuff that makes sense. And so I haven't played the campaign portion. I think I'm going to. The campaign was always still playable, but now the multiplayer is back online. They fixed the servers. They fixed the like cheating problem. You can matchmake into a game and play a game with like not noticeably any cheaters, and the population's back up too. Um, so that's what I've been doing pretty much all day yesterday and sparingly today is playing Titanfall 2, and it is a fun FPS. Um, it's back to kind of arena style shooter, but the movement's awesome. If you like playing Apex, but you just like don't like battle royale, this is it right here. It's awesome. Like calling in the Titans and stuff is a ton of fun. And the graphics are still really
They
good
are. Yes.
in multiplayer. And so, dude, it's been a blast playing. It's refreshing. And it's how old is this game? It came out forever ago.
I want to say it came out the year I bought my house, so 2016. I
Yeah,
think it was 2016 because I remember
7
playing
years
on
old game.
Xbox.
Yeah.
Um, on my Xbox One before the X was even out,
Titanfall 1 was a 360 title.
and
And then
Xbox One.
Titanfall,
I played it on Xbox One. I remember specifically you told me to go buy it, and I had my I was at my apartment, and I did get it. Trust me, it was Xbox One. I remember hands down. I have a very specific memory of playing. I remember coming home from
okay.
work. I still had my Keurig, and I was like going through K cups like crazy because I was playing that damn game so much. But yeah, it was right after I moved in, and I already had my Xbox. So
Okay.
I think it launched on both, but
Gotcha. Titanfall 1 did, and then Titanfall 2 was.
Xbox One.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
So not to
Yeah.
sharpshoot
And
you.
now we're midway through this the Xbox Series generation, PS5 generation.
I with you
We're close
playing
to midway through.
Titanfall 2, I kind of want to go play it again.
You should. Do you have it on PC or
I
just
don't, but you can get it for like $2.
yeah, it's super cheap.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
I think it's on Game Pass too, honestly. But
Yeah, because Game Pass has a
EA game.
partnership with EA
Hmm.
membership, so you just get all the like EA vaulted games
Right. I'd
that
rather
come
just
out.
buy it though. I hate the EA
Yeah,
launcher. I hate the EA launcher so
you
much.
still have to use it though.
No.
Yeah.
See, that's where I get pissed because I'd rather play a console at that point. Like if I play that game on same with like the Jedi games or Star Wars games.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I played Jedi
Fallen
uh
Order, Survivor,
Survivor or not Survivor,
Fallen Order.
Fallen Order, I played it on Xbox. I didn't have to deal with the EA launcher bullshit. But now I want to play on PC and I got to deal with it. It
I
pisses me
will
off.
say they updated their EA launcher it's not so intrusive and in your face. You just have to like sign in and then it kind of just like runs in the background
Mm.
and you never have to like really interact with it as long as you're already kind of logged in. And so it is much better than when it used to be where you'd have to it just basically pop up the launcher. You have to do interact with all their bull crap and yeah, so it's a lot better.
And their UI,
Still
dude,
sucks.
their UI was so small. For
Yeah.
whatever reason, it didn't jive with Windows. And it was
Mhm.
just always so small. So you're like hitting just this like millimeter sized box. Like you're like, what the hell? And for whatever reason, like I didn't have it happen, but a lot of my friends got their accounts hacked on the EA launcher.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I
Yeah, I
don't
think
know.
I had somebody trying to do that as well, but I had it like locked down with
Hmm.
two-factor authentication.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I think you're seeing a lot of these companies who made all their launchers are finally realizing that it's a lot of upkeep. It's like a lot of like software development to like keep the UI looking correct and do everything else.
And for
And
why?
honestly, yeah, it's honestly just easier to release it on Steam.
Hmm.
And I heard a statistic that like people that launch games that launch on Steam have like a 60% higher sales rate than if you're launching outside of Steam.
Makes sense. I'm sure. I'm
Yeah,
sure.
because some people just won't interact with your game at all. They're like, if it's not on Steam, I ain't buying it. Then other
Well,
people don't
go.
even see it. Like, like they just don't hear about it, right? And so if it's not on the Steam like page and getting that ad-free advertising when you open up Steam to go on like play games, like people are like, I didn't even hear about this game launching.
Hmm. For instance, Jedi Survivor finally got in a decent state, and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go buy it." Well, EA's servers were down. I'm like, "Nope, not gonna go buy it." So they literally lost out of my money a couple months
Oh
ago
man.
because I was like, "Oh, the patch fixed it ish,"
Yep.
and then I looked on Reddit one more time before I went to buy, and they're like, "Fuck EA, blah blah blah. Their servers are trash. Servers have been down all day." I'm like, "Oh, okay, sorry."
Dude, they
Uh,
can't get out of their own way.
yeah. But no, I really suggest you go play the campaign. It's really short. I think it's only like 5-6 hours, honestly. Um, but there's so many different mechanics that keep you engaged in that game. Every level is insane, and I'm not gonna spoil anything, but it has one of my favorite levels of all times in there.
Really?
Just super
Okay.
unique. Starfield actually stole from that level specifically. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and they're like, "Yeah, yeah, they stole from that." It'll blow your mind when you play it. And
Hmm.
it's like you get so attached to the characters in that game. I never thought I'd get like attached to a player and a mech as much as I did
Yeah.
in that game. Like by the end of it,
Okay.
I'm just like freaking out. So really, really good game.
I'll check it out. I'll
Yeah.
do it. All right. So everybody at True Nerds, we're downloading the first Pokken demo and we're getting Titanfall 2 and playing the campaign.
Now I have
And
to.
so
You told me.
people
I have to
are
now.
people, people are theorizing that in addition to them fixing Titanfall 2, it's kind of like this advertising teaser for Titanfall 3. They
I would
think
lose my shit. I'd be so happy.
I would too, dude. I would. That would be a full price purchase for me.
Hmm. I think the
Right up for
thing
me.
I'm most excited about with the servers coming back online, I went and played probably a year or two after launch before the servers were completely taken away
Yeah.
or whatnot, and it was just all sweats, which is fine.
Yeah.
But like when you jump into a game that has such a high skill ceiling,
Hmm.
dude, I was just getting shit on and shit on and shit on to the point where I was getting excited when I was killing the AI, the little
Right.
NPCs.
Yep.
Oh, it was hard, man. But then, I like that game so much because of the skill ceiling. I love games like that where it's fun to
Hmm.
play, but if you really want to go balls to the wall, you can get into it. Like the shooting mechanics in that game and the movement are just top tier.
For sure.
But moving on to my game,
Yeah,
Spider-Man
what
still
you
has me hooked. Huh?
Let's go.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
So the game has really intrigued me because I thought I was just going to play the campaign like you did.
Yep.
And I'm assuming you did some side content, right? or did you
I
just blow
I
through the
tried
story?
to I tried to like clear out an area after I was like once the like story had kind of skipped out of it,
Mhm.
but like the game just keeps like drawing you in and drawing you in to do the next thing. So I did a bunch of I would just swing around and do like saving like citizens or a robbery broke out and I'd like I kind of like save them and I just kept getting distracted, but distracted almost back onto the main story mission.
Okay.
So I'd go to like off to do some of my side quests and I would get pulled kind of back towards the story mission, which was like it's like perfect for me. It's like the only way I stay on point on some of these open world games. But yeah, I ended up like I think I there was a couple zones I completely kind of like 100%ed, and then the other ones I got to like maybe 50%, and some last ones probably like 25%.
Yeah, I think they do a really good job keeping the flow of the game because one,
Dude,
you
it's so
actually
good.
you feel like you need to get to the next story mission
Hmm.
because you actually feel like you're Spider-Man and you feel
Yeah.
like something bad is happening and you're like, I need to get there. Um, and then they do this really good job too, where they're like, oh, it's kind of a lull right now. I better go see what's going on in the city. Where they're like, hey, go do some side quests. They actually tell you to go do side quests and shit,
Mhm.
to help build, get some skills unlocked and this and that. But I'm at the point where I'm not going to 100% the game. I'm telling you that right now because
Dude, there's a
there's so
ton
much
to it.
shit, so
Yeah.
much shit, which is cool for completionists that really like that. But what I am gonna do, I'm not gonna do all the 100% on the crimes and this and that. That's annoying. But like all the enemy bases,
Yep.
I really enjoy clearing those and going for
Those are
the
fun.
or the challenges. I like going for the final, like the superior, the top tier one. I really enjoy that.
Okay. I
Um,
think how does that mechanic work again? Do you have to like do
there's a lot. So
something
there's like
specific?
drone, like, the taskmaster.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's like there's stealth takedowns, there's combat ones, there's drones,
Mm,
there's
okay.
bombs, and then based on how fast you do it, how well you do it, how skillful you do it, like that gets you the one, two, or three. So I really like
Gotcha.
going for those, and like I find myself
Mhm.
redoing them a lot because I enjoy it.
Yeah.
But all the little crimes throughout the city, like I'm not gonna 100% those because they're random and they just get a little too repetitive. But clearing the
I
bases
think
and
if
stuff.
you depending on like I think kind of where you are in the story and like what faction is kind of warring over whatever, you can like completely clear out a zone of like some of those like random events, and like that zone's then like safe after that.
Mm, yeah,
And so it doesn't like feel like it just they're just gonna keep popping up. Like it's crazy. Like you can like completely kind of make an area
safe.
clean and safe. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I
It
did
did take a
notice it.
while,
Yeah,
but yeah.
yeah. I think I'm gonna do the main story, all the side missions. But then I'll probably just leave all the little shitters. I'm not gonna do that because that's gonna add like 10 hours to my playthrough. I'm just not gonna
Yeah.
do that.
And I was
Uh,
wondering like because you're more of a person who likes to do all that kind of stuff. And so I was like, oh, is he gonna
Go.
jump to the next game or is he gonna like just grind through this one for 100 hours?
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna do that. But the problem here is, I like the bases, I like the challenges, I like all that stuff. The side stories are awesome. There's a lot of DLC.
Hmm.
A lot of DLC, like 10 to 12 hours worth of DLC. And I didn't realize that until I always saw like, hey, go hit DLC on the start menu, and then it takes you to a new map, I guess.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
well, I looked at like, what's her name, Black Cat.
Yep.
Her DLC is like 6 hours alone. So I'm like, oh shit, because I was like, oh, I just assumed it was like, whatever, something they added to the map. No, it's not. But it's post campaign story, so I haven't started it
Oh,
yet. So that I just looked in Reddit quick to know when to start it, and they're like,
right.
"Do not start it until you're done with the game because you will get spoiled and stuff, or like it won't make
Gotcha.
sense."
Yeah.
But yeah, if you ever get an itch, you should go play it again, or go, play the
Yeah, I
the
don't even know
DLC.
if that DLC was out when I played it.
It might not have been because on the main menu she's on there and she's like, "Hey, hit the start button and go to the DLC portion." So yeah, there's
So I
4.
remember interacting with like doing some of the clues she left behind.
Mhm.
Is that part of the DLC or is that just like that's just teasing the DLC,
That's
correct?
just teasing the DLC.
Okay. So I never did any of that
Yeah.
then.
So yeah, there's 3 additional DLCs in the game, dude. Um, yeah, and I haven't touched
Counting
any of them.
Miles Morales or no?
No. No, they're on Spider-Man Remastered.
Okay.
So if
I
you hit
just it was a joke because
Oh, yeah, well, I got that
I
whole
think
yeah,
Miles
yeah.
Morales is a DLC and not a standalone game.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, there's 3 main not villains, but 3 main characters DLCs. But
Hmm,
you should go check it out. I know you love the game so much.
I do.
And they're very
I
it
will
sounds
check
like
it out.
they're story driven. I was gonna ask you though, after I'm done with Spider-Man, because I'm at 78% of the main campaign.
Mhm.
I have a lot of like silver trophies and stuff. Like I'm done with all of the bases. I'm almost done with all the taskmasters. Um, I have 2 more side missions when I'm done with all of those. And I'm only 50% done with the achievements, which is freaking crazy. But then so I'm gonna do the DLC. Should I go on to Miles Morales or should I go take a break and play something else? Because I feel like I'm
Mm,
gonna get burned out.
you think so?
I think so. I love the game, but I find myself every night that I play it. I don't know if it's the flow of the game or whatever. I think it's just relaxing and I get tired.
Oh, yeah, you were
I
telling me
can't
about that.
play it more than 2 hours straight. I just can't, which is weird because I love it so much.
Yeah, so when I was playing it, I was at home with Quinn and I was on night shift. And so I had to stay up.
Mhm.
Um, and so I think that was like those were my my daytime hours is when I was playing the game. So I was already kind of awake.
Mhm.
Um, and I think I probably did a lot more like main story quests kind of straight through. And it kind of felt like this. I don't know if it was because I'm pounding coffees left and right, but it was this adrenaline fueled like story push for me. I was just on a wild roller coaster ride to the end, man. It was crazy.
The story is
Um,
so good in this game.
dude,
I
it was
can't get
wild.
over how good it is.
It
We
it's
can't I
my
want to talk about it, but we can't spoil anything.
I know
We can talk
it's
offline,
my
but
favorite story game that I think I've ever played.
Mhm.
It's just A, it's Spider-Man, so I love Spider-Man. And then B, it's just the notes hit, the pacing is perfectly paced, and the like everything like it's so intriguing and the bad guys are awesome and like dude,
Yeah.
it's so good.
The bad guys take it on this. And just the fact that it's truly a superhero sim.
Yeah.
Like you're doing all your random side stuff with your
Mhm.
family, and it's just like you're having
You are
girl
the PvP.
problems, you're like
Yep.
and then, you're having friend problems and yeah, it's just all around good. I'm so glad I finally played it. It only took
I
me
know, dude.
you telling
I've been forever. You
I
buy
know.
a new game, you play that one. I'm like,
I
bro.
know. Good thing Starfield sucked for me, otherwise I wouldn't be playing it right now. Speaking of, you're not playing it either, so what happened?
I still am. I just like haven't had like a ton of time to play, and
Mhm.
I honestly thought about playing Destiny again,
Shut
but
your mouth.
no, only because
Shut
not
Okay.
because I'm like there to like grind back in
You're like,
Destiny.
"I don't have a lot of time to play, so I'm gonna go play a game that forces me to fucking play all the
I
time."
literally just wanted to play PvP.
Uh,
That was it. I just like
and
I
then
don't have a
Titanfall
PvP
hit.
game right now. Titanfall. I was like, dude, I hear this is back up. So
Uh,
like I was literally just looking for a PvP game, and I'm like done with Call of Duty, done with Warzone. I've played through some of the other ones. There's just nothing. I do miss the Destiny PvP, and I wish the game would suck so I could just like keep playing it. Um, but yeah, that's why I just wanted like a game that I could just pick up for 15 minutes a pop and not have to. I feel like so the problem with Starfield for me to get to play it is if I only have an hour, I feel like I don't want to play it. I feel like I
yeah,
can't
I've
progress
played games like that.
like fast enough or I mean in the game flow is pretty good. Like the fast travel like it keeps you going and engaged, but like I feel like I just want to like dive into it. I want to just like take 3 or 4 hours, just play Starfield. And I don't get those chunks very often anymore,
Yeah.
and so that's where it like sucks. And so I think um yesterday I was gonna play it, but then um my wife's like, "Oh, well, let's like order food and eat," and I was like, "Okay, sounds good." And then she like didn't order food for like an hour, so I was like sitting there playing Titanfall, and I'd play a game. I'd look over, I was like, "Oh, are we ordering food now? No, okay, I'll just play another game. Are we ordering food? No, no, okay, I'll just play another game." And so then like it just like ate up my entire night, and I was like, "Oh, I'll just like keep playing like Titanfall just because it's relaxing and I don't have to like get in the mindset to play."
Yeah.
Um, but I'm
I
gonna
feel you.
play some tomorrow.
I feel you on that. There's certain games that I need to like be in the zone to want to play and like sit down. Um, that's another reason I like Spider Man because before you got on, I had like 30 minutes. I just did a
Mhm.
couple random things. I'm like, oh,
Dude, it is the perfect for me. It was the perfect game where I could spend 2 hours or 3 hours at a time,
mm-hmm,
or I could spend 15, 30 minutes. You could
yeah,
do like, I'm gonna go to this zone. Boom, done.
yep,
Okay, hop off, go do whatever else I need. It's so well done.
it is. I'm excited to play Miles Morales. I That's why part of me wants to just jump right into it. But then another's like, okay, bro, you need to, by the time I'm done with the DLC, I'm gonna be at 30, 40 hours in. It's like,
Yeah. So
um,
what are your options to play for another game?
well, I have lots. So Lords of the Fallen is coming out
Oh yeah.
in a week, or 2 weeks. So I'll probably want to play something between then. Miles Morales is short. That's kind of a draw to it.
Mhm.
Um, I could play The Last of Us Part 1. I'm trying to play games I own right now because like
Mhm.
I'm looking at my Steam library and there's a lot of games that I just sat on I want to play, but I just,
Yep.
life. Um there is a Warhammer 40K Demon Hunter, which is a turn-based tactical RPG.
Oh, okay.
So but that's a longer one.
Yep.
Um The Last of Us Part 1, I could play Miles Morales. Darksiders 2 remake. I've been wanting to play that. I'm a huge Darksiders fan. I think you'd be a huge Darksiders fan too, actually. Very
Re-
simplistic puzzles with a lot of mindless combat and
Really
awesome narrative. So,
sounds good.
um, yeah, I don't know. I got a few other games too. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like you'd need like a short one.
Mm-hmm.
If you play like a really long one, you're gonna like Miles Morales is just gonna get put on the back burner,
Right.
and it's gonna be hard to come back to.
Should I just
But
play
yeah,
it?
I feel like it could be a little like you could get a little burnt out because it is basically a DLC
Yeah.
where it's kind of the same game. I will say that like it plays a little bit differently. They like to like Miles Morales has like different
It's different
abilities that
superpowers, right?
change, yeah, that really change the way you play versus like Spider-Man, like when you're choosing the abilities of what you want to have equipped, they were just like, you know, different ways he uses his like two abilities, right? Super strength and webs. He just use them in different ways to do stuff. Where Miles Morales has different abilities.
Okay.
So it is a little bit like different like that, but could be a lot, I guess.
Or this is the game I forgot. I could just play Sea of Stars. I've been wanting to play that. That's like probably a 30, 40 hour game.
Yeah,
I
I can
could
give you
beat
that.
Zelda. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I have. I feel like that's gonna be a game where I'm traveling, where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna beat Zelda finally. Where I'm like at a school or something.
I have heard a lot of people like say that.
Yeah.
I think like I know because you don't like the sandbox like part of it, and you can't really like mainline it like you could
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild. Like
Yeah.
I actually really enjoyed just mainlining Breath of the Wild. Um, but I feel like you could just be like way more on like on point for story and not even really engage with its
Don't do
sandbox
shrines.
as
Don't do all
much.
that.
Yeah, just like do the shrines that you like need to do or that are on the way to your next thing, but like just cut down on the exploring, I think. unless you need a weapon, go out and get a weapon,
Right.
come back to story. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. Trying to think if there's another game. Or here's another problem. Okay, so Lords of the Fallen is coming out. I'm excited for that. Alan Wake 2 is coming out.
Yep.
Really excited for that, even though it's a Epic exclusive. That bugs me. But you know what? The Epic launcher isn't as bad as it used to be, so we'll be okay. So I could play the Alan Wake 1 remastered, but I can't find that anywhere for under $30 because it's an Epic exclusive, so that's annoying. I could buy it on Xbox physical for like $6, but I don't really want to play on my Xbox. Remnant 2, Hogwarts, Jedi Survivor. It's like
Ooh.
there's so many good games. Not EverQuest. Everspace 2. There's this
Oh,
Liza P.
that's right. How long is Liza P?
Probably 30 hours. I'm assuming 30, 40 hours. Let me see.
That would be a good one to kind of squeeze in there. I heard it's excellent.
Mm-hmm. I like the atmosphere.
Yeah.
How long to beat? The thing I am 34 and a half hours is HLT. Main story, yeah. So main plus sides is 36, completion is 51. Now take that with a grain of salt. That's just average. There's actually a lot of bangers out on Game Pass right now. So like if I'm gonna play Liza P, I would probably download Game Pass just for a month.
Subscribe to Game Pass.
Yeah. What I did, I downloaded Game Pass a couple months ago and it didn't get through the whole month cycle and I canceled it just to not get charged for the next month and they refunded me. I couldn't believe it.
The whole $10 or like prorated?
No, they gave me the whole $10 back. It was weird. You can play the system. I don't know. That might just be a one-time thing. Though, they're like, hey, I don't know.
Yeah,
it was weird.
Dude, so somehow PC Game Pass got turned on for me randomly, and it like charged me, and I'm like, yo, like I didn't subscribe to this, and like so I want to be funded. So they're like, okay, yeah, it's only been like a day or two. You can like.
How did that happen?
No idea. No one's like using my account right now, so like I don't know how it would have got turned on. It's like I gave my old computer to my brother, but I wiped it.
Yeah,
so my account's not on there at all. So dude,
that's kind of creepy, man.
Yeah, I don't know if it was like Microsoft, turning it on.
I don't think they would do that, man. They'd have a lawsuit of a century if they got caught doing something like that.
I know, but like you got to think, you got to separate the like Xbox division from Microsoft, the corporate division. They turn shit on Windows, every single Windows update, shit that you turned off.
Oh, you're thinking it was an accident? I don't think they would purposely.
Dude, no, like, okay, so I take Edge as my default browser off. I put Adobe as like my PDF viewer. Windows Update rolls around, Edge is the default browser. Edge is the default PDF viewer, and it just doesn't even do like PDFs that well.
I hate that at work, dude. I hate that at work. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I can't believe that they just like change all your settings back to their stuff so that they get the data collection. They make more money off of whatever. So, dude, I would not put it past Microsoft, the $1 trillion company who's like greedy and wants all your data and money. I think it would be an accident if like the Xbox division did it, and like Phil Spencer. I don't think that's his strategy for Game Pass.
Right.
But
it'd be messed up.
The greedy Microsoft people who screwed up Halo and 343. Yeah, dude.
Screw them.
They're rough.
One thing I wanted to ask you about, and I can't think, I might have lost it. I can't think of the game now. Dang it. But there's this roguelite tower defense co-op game coming out this month.
3?
I was wondering if that would interest you at all.
Yeah. I love tower defense games.
I couldn't remember if you did or not.
Mm.
So there's a couple of really good indies coming out. Wizards with a Gun, or Wizard with a Gun. That's a roguelite. Super beautiful graphics. And Endless Dungeon. So I kind of want to at the end of each podcast like start saying a couple games that I recommend are coming out that are indies that are not the biggest, because especially with all these crazy releases. Endless
Mhm.
Dungeon is a roguelite co-op with tower defense mechanics, and it looks
Ooh.
awesome. So I'll give that a little shout out. And then Wizard with a Gun is a co-op game as well that I think we should try to play randomly.
Yeah,
They
dude,
both
that'd
have
be
beautiful
awesome.
art styles and they're cheap. So
Yeah, I love it. Let's do it.
wish list it.
I did.
Good. Good. I've been following that game since it got announced. Both of them actually. Um yeah. You got anything else you want to talk about?
Um, there was some Bungie news that like kind of blew
What?
up. They were at a developer conference back in like 2020 or 2021, right after like Witch Queen launched,
Mm-hmm.
and they were talking about they've mastered the live service model. This is what they said. I think this is before Sony bought them, and I think this is why Sony bought them, because they gave the speech. They're talking about um like how do you survive as like a live service game. And now part of it kind of got like taken out of context, but like first it was like, oh, there's like 3 steps. Um, it's like you need 3 things as live service. You need to earn the player's trust. You need trust. You need I don't know if it was content or something else, and the last one was like then profit. And so like the way they kind of like made it seem was like they just like slowly earned our trust and did some things, and then they've just been squeezing the profit out of us ever since. And
That's
so
awesome.
yeah.
Earn their trust and then bend them over. Take them for everything that they have. I just
Mhm.
realized I had a little web camera pop up for
Yeah, I
Discord.
think I think I saw a little thing like
You
down
should have
there.
said something.
It didn't really matter.
Oh, I just noticed it 47 minutes in. That's messed
um,
up they'd say that. I mean,
yeah.
that's what all big corporations do. But the fact that they were just flat out said it, they're like,
Uh-huh.
that's how we feel about you. Hmm.
Yeah, and that I think like the arrogance of they've mastered the live service model. I
Right.
think they've fumbled their way through it,
Yeah.
and they just got lucky that their Bungie, and that they had a good shooter
Hmm.
on their hands. Like nobody would have like kept with it that long. And then
If
they
any,
bounced. Oh, they talked about over delivery, and that it is like the cardinal sin of live service games. And that they have developers coming up to them, their employees, and be like, "Hey, I'm really excited about this next expansion. I want to do this, and I want to do this, and I want to do this." And they're like, "You need to slow down. We can't over deliver, or they will continually expect that from us."
I can see that. Um,
I I,
but
I
that
understand it,
I
but it
understand it, but that
it
would piss me off as a
stifles
developer. Yeah,
the
creativity.
game's innovation,
Yep.
and that's literally why the seasons have sucked, is because it's rinse and repeat the exact same thing, because they're so afraid to over deliver. I get you should be cautious about over delivery, like the Forsaken expansion.
Hmm.
They over delivered there, right? And they told us, they're like, "Hey, we're never going to be able to do this ever again." Like Vicarious Visions helped us out, and we had this whole amazing year of the Forsaken expansion of Black Armory, and then um, we had the amazing last like expansion that came with it. I can't remember the name of it. It was like Callus themed, and we got the treasury room, and you could build your weapons, and that's what Vicarious Visions worked on. And it was like they created the first ever 6-player activity, seasonal activity that you couldn't lose.
Mm.
And I can't remember what the
I
expansion was
can't
called,
remember this because
but like they crushed it that year, right? And they're like, that was, I think, their thing is like, we can't over deliver ever again because we lost all of our support groups, Vicarious Visions and some of these other ones. And so they were like on their own, and all the money, they burned through money, and so they were so afraid of over delivering that their game just became really stale.
yeah.
And then honestly, I think like if their game would have kept pumping out stuff that was interesting and intriguing, like either near Witch Queen quality, or is like they kept doing different things to like keep me entertained, I think I'd forgive them for all their money hungry microtransaction BS, because they were reinvesting it in themselves
Right.
and making better content. But they stopped doing that. That was the whole thing with microtransactions, and it's what they told us they were doing, right? Hey, this one microtransaction funded the last Whisper quest, and we loved that one, right?
Yeah,
And
that was
so
so cool.
we're like, oh my god, yes! Like, I don't even feel bad buying microtransactions because it's funding the next great mission, and then just stopped doing amazing things and just collected all the money and stopped over delivering.
I mean, I'll still buy microtransactions, or I'll pre-purchase games for developers that I trust and love.
I don't trust any anymore.
There's a few out there that I
There's some that I'm like, I'll look forward to, and I'll be like,
yeah.
hey, I
They're
think you're gonna
usually
kill it.
indie. They're indie or Kickstarters that I will trust. Now, I haven't been burned by
Mm,
those yet, but any big company, no.
yeah, I
I
just
don't overhype myself on any big launch anymore. Um except for like Larian. I'm a firm believer and supporter of them. And there's a few indie developers that I will put my faith in, and I will back them because they're so small. I don't think, and I'm talking like 20 or smaller personnel studios. I can trust that.
um I feel like you can, but in some of those smaller studios, sometimes it comes down to one person leading and making the decisions. And if they can get in a deficit of money, then they have to make the tough decision of, I'm taking the money and basically running, or I am
Hmm.
taking the money now, going through the controversy so I can at least fund to like fix the game and make the game the way it should.
Yeah.
So you can still run into those situations. But I think for me, after like Bungie repeatedly doing it to me, and then I think Cyberpunk and CD Projekt Red, that was like an eye opener, because
Yeah.
before that they could do no wrong.
Right.
They created GOG Galaxy, the GOG, the competitor to Steam that everybody actually liked. They did like friendly things of like, hey, if you already own the the original game, the remaster you get for free. They do all these, like, every decision they made seemed customer focused, customer first. So when Starfield was coming out, I'm like, nope, I trust these guys. Guys, don't worry about it. I trust them. These are like the only developers in the entire industry. They're not owned by anybody else. They
You
own
mean
themselves.
Cyberpunk?
CD Project Red, yeah, and then Cyberpunk like
You said
coming out.
Starfield.
Oh, I meant Cyberpunk.
Yep. No, I know what you meant.
I was like, no, they got it ready to go. It's good to go. It was ready like a year ago. They've just been polishing it, and then to see the just downfall of everything and all the details come out, be like, wow, like they really messed this up that
They
bad.
did.
And the crappy part is they have a great, amazing game on their hands. The story, what they wanted to do, the vision, but all the bugs and all the other bullshit and their lyingness, and they're not giving review codes or console review codes to reviewers to hide the fact that the
The
console
game's
versions
shit.
are so effed. Like, it's like, nope, I'm done trusting like any game studios anymore.
Yeah, I go in very
Be
like,
hopeful but verify.
yes, that's what it comes down to. Like, I won't even open my CD keys because I got burned this year. I won't even open my CD keys code until I look at reviews, which I hate.
Mm.
I hate looking at reviews because I like going into games blind. I'm a huge story guy, so it's frustrating. But I downloaded The Last of Us Part One, and I was gonna play it online. I was gonna stream it, and then also I log on to Steam, and it's like overwhelmingly negative. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Pardon my
Yeah,
French.
that one was a big one because I've pre-ordered things that like I know I'm gonna play, right?
Hmm.
It's like, yeah, the new Destiny expansion. When I'm hooked, I'm like, yeah, it could suck, but like I'm gonna play it day
Hmm.
one no matter what. But
You
like
couldn't even
you
play it.
going in, you couldn't even
But
play it. That's
since I
terrible.
downloaded the key on Steam, I was screwed. So now I
Mhm.
wait.
I
Um,
think that is the one downside with like CD
it
Keys and
is.
Green
Yep.
Man Gaming, like both of them. It's like, yes, it's cheaper. Yes, it's like
But you
it's
can't return it.
nicer,
Yeah.
but you can't return it. You lose your Steam protections.
Yep.
You lose like all that like other stuff. I couldn't upgrade my Starfield copy, and
Yeah.
like, granted, I think that probably worked out better, but
Hmm. I'm glad
yeah,
that happened to you. I'm glad you didn't pay. That dude, that's a lot of
I
money to play
agree.
early.
I agree. I think it's dumb. Did you hear about there was a game that launched? They paid for like 3 days or 5 days early access, and then it came out and you couldn't
Was that
play.
Payday? Payday 3?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
Yep.
Dude,
Which I heard that game
terrible.
is good when the servers work. To
Yeah,
be so I heard it launched for.
just server problems
I'd be
beyond
pissed.
lore,
They better
and you
reimburse
paid for
people.
early access.
Yeah. I'd be so mad. That's the problem. But if you look at the small print on any of those early access, there's small print that says, subject to game readiness or whatever, however they word it, so they're not gonna get their money back.
Mhm,
Um Speaking of CDPR and Cyberpunk, I haven't played their 2.0 launch or Phantom Liberty, but now this doesn't make up for anything that how the game launched, how they lied, all that stuff, because they blatantly
mhm.
lied to
Yep.
everybody about shit you
Mhm,
could do in the game and how it was a cyberpunk sim and this and that, life sim. I guess the 2.0 fixed a lot, and the DLC Phantom Liberty is a step towards what was promised originally, like how it should have launched. It's still not what they promised, but it's a step towards it.
mhm.
Unfortunately, this is the last expansion. There's gonna be no more DLC, no more updates, nothing.
Correct. They're
So
working on a sequel,
yeah,
but they're moving to, and I think the reason is they're moving their whole company to Unreal Engine
Unreal.
5.
Yep. So it's
And so
smart that they're.
that's where I think they were planning to like do more things like they did with The Witcher and some of their other stuff.
Hmm.
But then when they saw what Unreal Engine was doing, they're like, here's the breaking point.
Yep.
We're gonna do this one expansion, and then we're moving the whole company to Unreal Engine 5. And from what I've seen from Unreal Engine 5, that's the right move,
Yeah,
honestly.
I agree. I am glad that they. I was never gonna play Cyberpunk. I don't think just because really not for me. I can respect the game and not play it, but
Mhm.
I think the fact that Phantom Liberty came out and 2.0 is in a decent state. There's still issues, but every game has issues. I think that they earned a lot of trust back. That they are still a good company that can do good things. A lot of people are burned; they might never come back, but at least they're ending on a high note going into their sequel. Because if they ended on that bad note, they
Dude,
they would have been.
they had to fix this
Yeah,
game to bring goodwill back. Because
yeah.
like I mean, a lot of people love The Witcher, but it's not like a Call of Duty or a FIFA where
Hmm.
you can just keep taking money from people
Yeah,
and releasing bullshit. People will keep paying it.
yeah,
Like, no, you have to. They have their core audience is one that'll make them do the right thing, or that they kind of fold on themselves. And so, if they wanted to ever do any more Witcher stuff, they wanted to expand their studios. Like they want to do universe, like more anime, more everything.
hmm
They have to. They had to like fix Cyberpunk, and I think that was always going to be their intention. Um, I was surprised at how long it took them to get to a decent like point.
the game was so
Because
messed up.
yeah, I mean they for a good like 2 years they just worked on bugs. And so I think it had been in a decent spot bug wise for probably about a year now before they switched over to really focusing 100% on the expansion. They always had a team working on it, obviously. Um, but yeah, it took them a long time to get to this point. The game was kind of like so broken. But at least I think with the expansion and the buzz about it and how good it is, it's a great point for people to finally jump in. The only downside is the 2.0 update is amazing. You have to start a new character to take advantage of it.
Yeah. So I think you can jump into the DLC,
You can jump in the DLC,
but
but if
if
you want to like go either finish playing through the story or playing through the story of the with all the 2.0 RPG updates, you have to start a new
right.
character to like get that. And I'm about like halfway through the game, and I don't know if I want to start a new character
Yeah.
to take advantage of the 2.0 updates. So I was thinking today that like I might just go back and just finish off the main campaign without the 2.0 updates. And I don't know if I want to buy the expansion, the Phantom Liberty or not yet.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, or you could just wait till a steep sale on
see,
it,
yeah,
and
that's fair.
because
Because
I mean,
it was a visually amazing game, and I think the story is like really cool. It didn't quite like completely pull me in, um, but it was a very good story, very unique. And with all the like visuals and gunplay, like it was something that I was really interested in.
right?
Um, yeah, I did fire it back up to try out their new path tracing with um, DLSS to like boost your frame rates. So path tracing is ray tracing but on steroids. So like NVIDIA's ray tracing only kind of like simulated what the like rays of light would kind of hit and bounce.
Mhm.
So they would probably take like one out of every 10 or one out of every 100 or 20 rays that like a light would produce, and they would trace how it would bounce, and then they would kind of extrapolate that to figure out what they needed to do. So that was how they accomplished real-time ray tracing, but it was on, it's a very minute scale. So path tracing is they literally trace every beam of light to so many X amount of bounces, and it like looks incredible, but it would just destroy your GPU performance. We're
I was gonna
talking
ask.
the 4090 running it without DLSS, and DLSS 3.0 runs it at like 20 FPS. This is the most powerful graphics card, $1,600, runs it
Right.
at 20 FPS. But with DLSS and frame generation, it would run it at like 100 FPS. So, but like they just announced this like DLSS technology um, that uses the like AI portion of DLSS to extrapolate what the um, path tracing would take to take the big load off of the GPU. And so with that enabled, you actually don't lose any FPS.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
Technology is wild, man. Like every single month, we're like, "Holy shit! Like this is the future," and then they just blow it out of the water. It's like, man,
Yep.
it's such a cool time to be alive. It really is. Like,
Mhm.
if you're into this stuff, if you don't care about it, like the world's not changing. But no, that's tech's cool, man. It's really interesting that they can just keep learning and learning and learning more and producing, and prices are going down, and
Mm.
yeah.
Dude,
Um,
graphic cards are getting pretty cheap.
I was
I
actually going to
saw
tell you. Sorry, go
a
ahead.
3060 for $250 today. And I was like, dang, like budget gamers are coming back.
Yep, that's exciting.
You can
It's
get and
exciting.
then on the AMD side, you can get a 6650 XT for $220. That's a great GPU. But bro, budget gamers are back, baby.
Yep.
They've waited a long time to get back into the $200 market. Because dude, the 2060 has literally been selling for like 250 to $300 this entire time.
Mhm.
The 2060.
Yeah.
It was My buddy bought it on sale for I think it was $320, like 4 or 5 years ago.
Right. It's crazy to see graphics there. Well, that's like even my oh, what card did I have? I'm blanking.
RX 480.
Yeah, my 480. Like that
Yeah.
thing's price was still hiked as like
Mhm.
crazy.
Yep.
It's exciting because now one, you can start building PCs again and selling
That's
some
right.
PCs.
That's right. Yeah, and just like I think the $200 market is so huge because a
Mhm.
lot of people can afford $200.
Yeah.
Um, and so to be able to slap that into pretty much any computer and like play games at really good graphical fidelity, it's crazy. It's exciting. It's awesome. As much as I kind of hated on the 3060 because it was so far below the 3060 Ti and the 3070
Mhm.
at $250. It was
Yeah.
12 gigs of VRAM. You have access to things like DLSS. It's a great card for $250.
Yeah, for that price point. And
Yes.
I think that was the main thing we talked about while
Yes.
we're hating on it, is the price point.
Oh yeah, it was
Uh,
$50 cheaper than the 3060 Ti, and the 3060 Ti was like 30% more powerful.
right, didn't make sense.
No.
Yeah, I think when you're looking at building budget PCs, what a lot of people don't, everyone talks, will it be the same price as a console? Okay. Yes, that is in the discussion, but what you need to realize is when you look at the PC games available versus the console games available, I think that's where you're going to get your bread and butter on a PC is there is millions of games that you can play on PC that you cannot
So
play.
many. You can get them for so cheap.
Yep, the price of the games are going to add up. The number of games, like I don't know how many times when my kids were really little and I was only playing on my Switch, I'm like, awesome PC game coming out, but I don't got time. I only got like 10,
No.
15 minutes here to play on my Switch.
Not to
Um,
mention, dude, I had a buddy literally just bought a Switch last week. A lot of the games are still $60. He went to look, he's like, I'll pick up Skyrim for it, it'll be great. Skyrim is
yeah,
$60
yeah,
for the Switch.
yep,
That game came out the first year the Switch was out.
hmm
It's been it's been on the Switch for like 6 years, 7 years.
yeah,
Not to mention just a really old game, but like just on the Switch and it's still full price.
yeah. Because Skyrim came
Switch
out in
games just
20
don't
20
go on sale.
2013. Skyrim came out. Or wait, no, 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 no. Skyrim came out in like 2011, 2012.
Yeah.
So, and then it was on the Switch since 2016 or 17, whatever. Yeah, that's a big downfall of the Switch. But
And I feel
um,
like it's not as bad, but it's similar on the PS5 and Xbox. Like games do go on sale, but not as fast as they do on PC.
yeah, yeah, you
You
can
still
find
pay.
some $10, $20 games on for physical. Like if you look, but yeah,
Yeah.
PC, dude, like all day you can sit there and get a banger of a game for $10
Mhm.
if the game's a year or older.
Yep. And
Like
I've
I'm look.
actually just seen. Yeah. All right. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like I was looking the other day. Like even Resident Evil Village, that game's not that old. It's
Mhm.
I mean 3 years old or whatever it is, 3, 4 years old. You can buy the game for like $15. And that's
And that would be
wild.
like 30 or 40 on a console.
Yep. So
But I was actually saying I just saw just like past week or two the return of like console killer PC builds.
mm,
Like I saw like YouTube videos about them. I'm like, yes, dude, they're back.
they're back.
I love it,
Budget builds.
dude.
Yeah, we need to start doing it.
I get so much more interested in budget builds than I do in high end builds because it's like, yeah, I just have a bunch of money to piss away,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody builds the exact same thing. But like once you put a budget on it and you try and squeeze every like ounce of performance out of every dollar that you spend,
Yep.
that's where things really start to open up. You're talking, are you looking the used market? Are you looking the like newer, cheap, like low end market? Like which one's better? Like what graphics card should I get? A cheaper, newer one, or should I get like a used one or an older one that was higher end but is now cheaper? And like you have to kind of do a little bit more research on it. But it's so interesting to me to try and like squeeze out a $300 PC or a $500 PC than it is to build a 1,500 or $2,000.
Unlimited cap. of money
Yeah.
is, yeah. And I think the person buying a budget build is gonna get more excitement out of it too, because it's gonna be their first PC maybe, or or it's an upgrade budget. Like me, every time I
Mhm.
upgraded something, like I'm always very conscious of the price I'd pay. But I was
Yep.
always so excited, man. Just always so excited because 20%, 10%, 3%, whatever performance upgrade. I'm like, mine, my upgrade.
Yes.
But then I
And
look at
dude,
my
a lot of
Xbox, I'm like,
times
I don't care about so
Yep. A lot of times too, you can get like 50% performance increases in the budget end, like all day for really cheap.
right.
But it's really hard to do that in the high end, right? Like you have to spend 600-700 bucks to get a 30% performance increase. And that's
Hmm.
like the best kind of scenario that you're looking at. And then every other 100 or $300 you spend only gets you 10% more performance.
Right.
And so that sucks. But in the low end, like, yeah, you like whatever you're upgrading from, find like last year's model or the new like low budget one. You can get massive performance increases, sometimes 100% performance increases. I've seen
Wild.
200% performance increases from somebody like upgrading, and it's super cost effective. Um, so yeah, just way more fun, way more interesting to me for sure.
Put in the comments, what's the price cap? We'll build something.
Yeah, what what are you most interested in?
A
In
realistic price cap. Don't be an asshole, because we are both fathers and we don't make that much money.
Exactly. Heck
Uh,
yeah.
that's all I got, man. We've been going for quite a while. I just looked at the time.
Yeah.
Unless you got anything else, you can send her off.
Stay nerdy.